All right, so I'll wait for your questions and then we'll start it, right? I'll be responding to you.
Yeah, so I think we're good. So it's a pleasure having you for the Muzikol Music Awards Business Forum as a keynote presenter, and you're going to be talking to us on different aspects regards to the music business, especially around Africa, and how we can help Cameroon entertainment industry to be well positioned at the continental scene of the music music in Africa. So I will start by asking you, what does music business mean to you?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, so my name is Eddie Hatitye, and I must confess and say, I've got so much love for Cameroon. In fact, I've only been to Cameroon once my whole life. That was in 2015, and I really enjoyed engaging with music professionals in Cameroon. Today, we continue to work with some of the professionals there. In fact, our deputy chairperson of the Music in Africa Foundation, Mr. Sage Maboma from the band called Makase. You might know him. He's based in Cameroon. Just to give you some context here. So the work we do is we run a platform called Music in Africa, the Music in Africa portal, which is a website that collects and disseminates all kinds of information about the African music industry. We also, obviously, as the Music in Africa Foundation, we do a lot of projects across the continent, projects around, upskilling artists, for example, training programs, artist exchange programs. We do a lot of research all over the continent. And we also do funding activities like, mobility grants, capacity building grants, and the likes. Um, I'm obviously happy to be participating in this wonderful event, and just to start with your question, what is a music business? This is a question that you can get a lot of answers for, but I think to really understand, you have to perhaps refer to what a business is, right? And a business normally is a customer satisfying process that is done also obviously with the main goal to make a profit. So the music business is not too dissimilar from that. The model is around, identifying a demand and meeting that demand with, high quality products. And these products usually are music, but of course you've got services and other goods, from people who do production, promotion, the publicists, the distributors, and all those guys who fulfill this value chain.
Okay. So what are the things every artist needs to know before they get into the world of music?
There are a lot of things. The most important one, which is unfortunately sometimes overlooked when we're talking on these forums, is the artists need to know their stuff. They need to know their music. They need to be great at making music. That's very important, because the world of the music business, in order to make it in the music business, you find that traditionally the people who actually don't have a music background, people who come from other industries, finance and other spaces, they are more financially oriented. Their rates is obviously high because they understand the logic of business and all that. Unfortunately, a lot of us creatives, this is what we don't have. So in order to increase our chances of being successful, we have to be super great at what we do, and this is making music. But not only making music, also you might be providing a service and whatever you're saying. The main thing is you have to know that which makes you an important part of the music ecosystem. So that's number one. Number two, you then of course have to not only know, but have a knack, have an interest in reading. This music industry is changing every day, and for artists, the challenge on the continent is racing around with knowledge. You have to know where the industry is going and to know the opportunities, because without those, unfortunately, the chances of survival become very slim. So what are we talking about? As an example, we are talking about the artist today needs to read around. You need to know, you know the royalty structures, the systems. How do you navigate those? And a lot of artists, unfortunately, on the continent, one of our biggest challenge is that our royalty systems are not very effective and efficient. And this is something that we can also say, we are at the mercy of our leaders and our authorities. But how do you navigate that and still remain profitable? How do you take advantage of these digital platforms? How do you still make sure that whatever you're doing, you earn something out of it? So knowledge is just that you, as an artist, you need to read around. Gone are the days when you would sit in studio, make songs, and then have, just send the songs to radio, and then you relax, and then you imagine things are going to happen for you. Nothing like that. In fact, some of the artists, this is an interesting fact, some of the artists who are not so popular in our countries, and I've traveled around Africa, and there are a number of artists who are not even that big on radio, um, because radio is one of the biggest medias here on the continent. You get your song on radio, you get a song on TV, and now people try to get the songs also, like on Trace TV, Channel O, and the likes. But there are guys who are getting really something out of digital platforms. YouTube, for example, YouTube, although the streaming value, it can be debated to say, you get sometimes maybe not at what you should be getting, but people are getting money from YouTube. People are getting money from, Spotify and all these digital platforms. And it's all about you thinking about these strategies now, and you don't need to be an expert. You need to just have the knowledge, read around, and get yourself a team. Get yourself a team of people who can assist you. This the second most important thing. Get a good team around you, people who help you, people who point you towards the right direction. And of course, then we go into other notions around, how do you create advantage, or competitive advantage? Because the whole notion about businesses is about creating a competitive advantage. People, wholesalers and people who sell bread, they'll try to have some kind of advantage. And in the music industry, the same concept applies. As an artist, you need to have something that is unique. And this is unfortunately something that also relates very much to your talent and your natural abilities. But I think, as a summary, we can say artists today, they need to be super creative, need to learn very fast, need to read a lot, need to attend these platforms like your platform, meet people there. And most of the times, the things that are said in these platforms, not everything will make sense to you, but being there, connecting with people, learning. An artist today, the biggest challenge for an artist today is to learn, because the industry is growing so fast that even the most developed economies are struggling to catch up with the industry and where it is going. I mean, look at TikTok now. You've got artists like Jason Derulo. These guys, his revenues are probably now only, like, the biggest revenue now is probably coming from all this social media activity. And these are things that come from learning and just like being creative and getting yourself in teams. In Africa, we are in a very unique place because everyone's eyes are on the continent right now.
Wow. So basically, you spoke about competitive advantage, team development, uh, learning,
Good music or
good
good
music
service.
as well.
You need
Yeah,
to be you need to be, you
yeah,
need to be very, very creative.
creative. Yeah,
Whether
creativity.
you're creating music, you're producing music, you are you are organizing events. You need to see the value.
Yeah.
People need, it has to be very obvious
Mm-hmm.
what you are doing and why people should listen to your music, or use your services. Essentially, it's unfortunately the music industry is one of the most competitive spaces, but yet also one that is continuously offering us with opportunities, which then of course require us to be super, 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 thorough in everything we do.
Yeah. So there's this critical part of the industry, especially when it comes to artists. They would like to hear your own point of view about artist
Mhm.
managers. So, what is the
Yeah,
role of an artist manager to you? And let's see the role of an artist manager to the artist and to the music industry as a whole.
yeah.
Where do you position the artist managers?
So that is one of the critical functions of the industry management in general. So an artist manager, this role is changing, but essentially the artist manager is as the word says, they are managing the business actually. And if we are looking at it from a music business, the notion we're talking that the role of a business is to satisfy customers, right? And to do that, it is done profitably. So the idea is to make a profit and to satisfy your customers. So to a musician, the customers are the fans, right? And all those other entities that will use your music and all, but essentially you need to satisfy that. And how do you satisfy that? By creating good products, and the product is music, great performances, a great image, everything that comes with the business, right? So the music manager is, you see, just like a manager in a company, the role is not fixed. You might be a manager there at your organization, but your role might be very different. You might be delegating things. You might be actually doing the things. You might be designing posters. You might be getting money for the business. So the role of the artist manager, for me, in my perspective, the manager, their role is not one that is fixed, all right? But their key responsibility is to ensure that there is progress. All right, there's progress in the business. So if I'm your manager, I'm gonna make sure that your brand makes sense. All right, I'm gonna make sure that your bookings, your main revenue streams, all those, that we are fully taking advantage of those, and that me myself actually getting into all the corners and the pockets to make sure that you get the bookings, and that the bookings are done so professionally and efficiently. And this is one big area that we have a challenge with on the continent in general. I've worked with many artists, and I see that also this is one area that is not very well understood, where if an artist has got to be at a show at 5 p.m., the artist has to arrive at 4 p.m. The manager make sure this is negotiated or satisfied by the business, in this case the artist. And so the role of the music manager is to fully utilize the opportunities that exist for the artist, and while making sure that the artist is performing at the most optimal level. That means if the schedules around the music releases is well taken care of, the artist has got a clear understanding of their fan base and where the direction is, the opportunities. And nowadays, one of the things that I didn't mention is, so when you look at a typical music business, it's all about making music and selling music and getting the money and getting all these direct commercial avenues, utilizing those avenues. But also now things are changing. The world is being driven by not only innovation and technology, but also social responsibility. All right.
Yeah,
So that means all over the world, everyone, I think is starting to hear this, like, awareness around social responsibility, climate, civil society, the role of the artistic community in pushing this envelope around social responsibility. Now, what does that mean for an artist today? It means simply that there are also opportunities in civil society for artists to actually manipulate. So that's why you see there are more grants now, like mobility funding. So, there are organizations who are trying to see how music, for example, can be used to push social aspects, like if you're just making your music there, so for us at Music in Africa, we see beyond just you making music. It's about how does your music contribute to society, for example. um, what is the education value in your music? What is the poverty alleviation in your musical projects? And there are people who are willing in making projects to get artists involved in these kinds of work. So a music manager, again, sees that opportunity. He should be someone who's able to interpret all the existing opportunities that are there for you and say, okay, this month we're going to go on a fundraising. This is something that you don't often hear in music, unfortunately. We're going to start fundraising, and no one will give you money if you just write a proposal to a telco and say we would like money because we make great music. Well, of course, yeah, if you are really big, yes, but in most cases it's about you being able to interpret the value and create these unique points about your music. So a music manager becomes the the, the, the overall head of the whole process, and is making sure that all the opportunities addressed, and that those commitments that you take on as a business in this case, then you execute them and you do them so professionally, so that you continue to build on these relationships.
So sounds like a great one. Then another thing that I would like us to take a look at is how artists, how should the music industry, how music professionals should position themselves when it comes to corporate brands and corporate dealings. What are the things that an artist should put into play, should put in place to be able to actually approach corporate brands and stuff like that?
Yeah, so the big thing is, again, is about being professional, right? That's really one big thing. Corporate, think about it. Corporate is all about building the brand and associating the brand with as many positive aspects. So corporate is looking for the positive, right? Nothing else. Like, they are looking for a positive attachment to their brand. That's it. So the artist's role in that is to make sure that their quality um, is understood by everyone. So the challenge, this is why you see the challenge is a lot of corporate gigs are offered to those artists who've made it, all right, or those who are, very, very, they're known, they're predictable. This is the most important thing. This is why, like, big name artists, they're always getting this money because they've made it. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that you actually earn. You earn corporate gigs. It comes out of you working hard on your career, sometimes not even consciously thinking about the corporate world. These are some of the benefits that you get when your music is so great. People know, they want to associate with your brand. So it's all about taking care of yourself, and not just saying I want to get into the corporate world just like that. What we are saying is, you need first to think about your music. It has to be great. Your brand has to be great. You have to have the right people who get you into these corporate gigs, because you, as an artist, in most cases, you will not be able to approach everyone individually. But why not? One thing also I should mention there and clarify is, when we talked about the role of the music manager, the artist also can be the music manager.
Yeah.
Just like you can start your business now and you manage the business every day alone. There's nothing wrong. The most important thing is, you should just understand that you need to think like two people, one as the artist and secondly as the business. Now, that's very difficult to do. That's why it's generally encouraged to get people around you who complement you with those other aspects that you might not have. But to get into corporate gigs, you need to be extremely professional. So there's a few things that we can talk about, a lot of the artists, I would imagine, also watching this may not be, top tier artists, and artists who are still emerging. So there's never really a one size fits all, but you gotta have an aspect that gives besides your music, which is obviously a key thing. You gotta have other aspects that will show beyond doubt that excellence and quality are your top priorities. So think about an EPK, electronic press kit. This is really important. And you gotta sit there and you start sending stuff to businesses and say, you're presenting yourself. So you gotta have that EPK. So the EPK is that short document, which might be from 1 page to 3-4 pages, that documents everything about you. So if I read it, I'm like, wow, okay, I gotta see this performance, right? Because that's your CV. In the business world, you've got like, if you're going to do business with us, we ask you to send us your business profile. So you send us something, we know your vision, your mission, the other guys you've done work with, that kind of thing. The same applies to musicians. You gotta have that thing, not just making music, right? Create the brand, associate the brand. What are your key values? So, and a second thing is you gotta have recorded videos. I'm even going into corporate, but this applies to festival, bookers, promoters, and all those people who don't know you, even the media. An EPK is number one. Number two, have some pre-recorded music. All right, professional stuff. And these days it's really easy to get stuff done professionally. All right, it might not be done in a super slick studio, but I think this is one thing. This is one of the biggest benefits now. Anyone can do a song even in their house and get it mixed and mastered and it would sound decent, right? But the last part is actually even more important. Music, like the videos. We're not talking about music videos, all right? We are talking about shots of you performing live. This is important. Everyone who's going to book you needs to see you. If they have not seen you performing, they are not going to book you from just seeing you performing on a live music video, because you are not performing there. That's a branding exercise, the music video. So if I am going to book you, I want to see how you performed at another venue under the same settings. So a lot of artists think this is too difficult to do. No, it's not. When you get your gig, get someone to use like a phone, just make sure there's good quality, and just negotiate with the sound engineer there to get the audio from the mix. Play with that so people can see like what you can do. And this doesn't have to be top quality, but that is the one single thing that is important for festival bookers. All the buyers will look at that. Because if I'm going to book you, I want to know how you perform. It's like if you want to buy anything, a car, whatever, you want to test drive it, right? So for us at the Music in Africa Foundation, all our activities where artists have to apply, that is a requirement. You have to have an EPK, you have to have a video, and also audio. But in most cases, we see that our jurors, our committees that select, they look at the video, because that's one thing that is very important. And there, let me just plug also Music in Africa, not because that's my full intention, but this is also a service we actually offer at Music in Africa for free. We realize that artists struggle with building EPKs and all these things. So artists can log on into musicinafrica.net. They add their information there. They can link their SoundCloud, their YouTube things, and we look at these profiles and we actually edit them for you, and then we of course we then promote them. But the value there is that also we work with other festivals like the Southeast Absara Festival in Zanzibar, one of the biggest festivals on the continent. They actually use our service when they are booking artists and people are applying for their festival. they require artists to supply the Music in Africa EPK profile. So these are just some of the things. This is what we're saying. Artists have to understand where or how to use also the internet to find some of these services that they need and might not be able to provide themselves.
That one was really insightful. Then now, as we draw towards conclusion, what is your general overview of the African music industry, and how do we as the Cameroon music industry position ourselves? What do we need to do to be able to catch up? Because I feel like the Cameroon entertainment industry, the Cameroon music industry is a little bit behind. It's really lacking compared to other industries, other countries. Like look at Nigeria, look at Ghana, you want to take a look at South Africa or Kenya, or even Uganda and Tanzania, the East in general. Discover that Cameroon, Central Africa, we are still a little bit dancing with so much. What do you think we can put together to be able to catch up at the continental level?
Yeah,
just basically,
this is
that's the right word.
Yeah, this is one thing that I don't think that there can be like the right answer for, but I'll try my best to. I mean, from my experience, and I've confirmed also this is what I've seen in Cameroon. You see, the number one challenge on the continent that we need to address is the performing opportunities for artists. Even before we look at going international and making an identity like Nigeria has done, because there are a lot of issues that come with that. You know what I mean? It's a process to create a brand of music that cuts across continents, and it's really a process. But let's look at some of the things that can happen internally. Because you see, the challenge is that in most of these countries, when you look internally, so the music has to pop internally first before it gets out, right? This is why you see in South Africa, there's a big music culture here in South Africa, and I'm not saying you don't have that there, but also here in South Africa, we've got serious lack of venues, live venues, all right? So the ecosystems locally have to be strengthened, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done at both government level, policy level, but more importantly and more realistically at artist level. So us artists, let's create these networks. Let's have we need more live venues. We need music to be part of our everyday life. You know what I mean? And the challenge on the African continent is that we don't have live music venues. We don't have outlets for venues. And live venues are important because these are the jobs for artists. If we have 5 venues, I tell you now, if we create 5 venues now in Yaoundé, and these venues are giving artists, just 4 artists a night, a chance to perform, and people are starting to come in. That means if an artist comes with 3 band members or 4 band members, that means on a night we can actually pay 30 artists, and we start that cycle and we start growing like that. So this is unfortunately something that is very difficult, but this is why you see, like, if you go to Europe, like I was in France, last year, and they gave me this short booklet. And I said, "What is this?" It looked like a directory. This was a thick booklet, and all I could see there when I opened it are the live venues. I tell you, like a kilometer apart, live venues in Paris. Music you walk from one door, you're going into the next door. You're seeing music every. Now, can you imagine what that does to musicians? It means musicians have got jobs, and this is what we are looking for. Why we need jobs is because our revenue systems, our royalty systems are not working. So, in most African countries, artists are not even getting royalties. So we need these jobs. So I think this is one thing that I can just plant as a seed to say, maybe we need ourselves to bring ourselves together and create these networks so we can create more opportunities for our artists. That will solve some of these challenges. But of course, I'm not even getting into, we need to make sure our governments regulate this space better. There's money in African music, and we are losing so much because broadcasters are not paying. Our CMOs are not really, I think, competent enough to really handle the especially the changing industry in the digital age. So these are some of the things we have to do. We have to really press governments. I mean, you've seen what has happened with COVID now. In Europe, artists are getting these subsidies left, right, and center. On top of that, they're getting also their usual royalties. So they're not really struggling. But in Africa, the moment I tell you, the moment you can't play your guitar anymore, that's the day you last earning. That's your last day of earning. Now, then what are we doing? Yet our music is so great and can really leverage. We can really get something out of it. But these are some of the things, and unfortunately, these are things that you can't talk in over 30 minutes. But I hope that it helps and some people can learn from that. But I think more importantly, I generally just want to say, please, guys, if you want to check out more information and be part of a network, Music in Africa is a non-profit organization. We don't make money at all out of the work we do. We've got members all over the continent. We do activities all over the continent. In fact, I know artists from I've worked with artists from Cameroon, the likes of Krotao, the rapper, Serge Maboma, Ingrid White, even some very young artists. And I think we are building a network where we're saying we invite you to look at what we are doing, and maybe that might be interesting. So because every year we are moving across Africa, we are going to a different country, we are learning new music, we are connecting with new industry players, and we are building the network for African musicians. So please, if you are interested, see our website and feel free also to write me directly. My email, I'm sure that you will provide a link with my email as well. I'm happy to answer questions after this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Hedy. And we'll be taking some questions after the broadcast.
Super. All right, cool, man. Bye-bye.